Hey, everybody, welcome to the Thriving Lives podcast, to our weekly Zoom calls. I hope everybody is doing well so far this week, having a great week. We are almost through March already, which is absolutely crazy that we are through almost, quarter one of 2024. It's definitely wild to kind of think about. But I don't know about you guys, but I am getting excited for this summer. We got a trip partially booked and planned for this summer, which is definitely motivating in terms of the fitness goals and things of that nature. Obviously, with the sun being out and it getting warmer, hopefully that is providing a lot more energy to everybody. I know that for myself, it definitely has been as well. It's so nice that the time change and now I mean, right now it's 7 o'clock and sunny out still, and we have another hour of sunlight or so. So I know for me that is awesome. I feel like I can get a lot more done in the workday, or not the workday, but just the day in general, which is always motivating and nice. Plus, just that sunlight just breeds newfound energy and stuff for the year. But anyway, though, usually we would be doing, Renee and I would be doing our review of kind of the last week. Renee actually tonight she won't be on the call with us. She is, as you guys know, she's been talking about her Pilates journey. She's a Pilates instructor now, and her Pilates studio that she's been working with, their grand opening is this week, and so she's doing a bunch of leading a bunch of classes this week, so that's where she's at tonight. She'll be back on the calls as normal Wednesdays moving forward, but she is gone tonight. But just in review of the last week or so, I always forget it's only been 7 days since our last talk, but yeah, I don't know. Last week was good. I will say, check-ins been awesome here lately. I'm getting a ton more check-ins, over the holiday period, that November, December, and even January sometimes, check-ins definitely fall off. A lot more inconsistencies, people checking in only every few weeks, or maybe not at all kind of during that time sometimes, which obviously is not the best, but I understand it as well to an extent, depending on where people are at in the journey. But right now, again, I just mentioned, that the sunlight, spring feels like it's here right now. And so check-ins are definitely reflecting that. A lot more consistency with that, which leads to better results and things like that across the board. But yeah, so check-ins were good last week. That was always awesome. Weekend, damn, I don't even know what the hell I did this last weekend. I know it was a good weekend. Celebrated Nicole's mom's birthday on Sunday, which was good. And then last night we took Lola to her first concert. We went up to Omaha for just a quick little 24-hour down and back trip. We went to the Slowdown, which is like the place where the concert was. It was Flip Turn. If anybody of you listen to Flip Turn, they're one of our favorite bands. They're like a smaller, like indie rock band, essentially. We've seen them 3 times now. Lola actually got to hear them in Nicole's Belly last summer and got to go there last night, which was a blast. And then she cried like half the way back this morning on the way back to Kansas City. But anyway, though, so let's get on into tonight's topic. So tonight's topic is about five underrated, underestimated, not really prioritized habits, actions that we take on a daily basis. And what I mean by these are, when people are talking about, bettering their health, or usually more commonplace is talking about fat loss, about body composition, stuff of that nature. And most people want to do aggressive things. They want to do a water fast or a juice fast, or, completely just do a very unsustainable diet or fad diet approach. They want to go from, they haven't been working out the past couple of years, but all of a sudden they want to do 7 days in the gym. They want to take these unsustainable approaches that, again, they're not sustainable. And so that comes back to kind of that all or nothing mentality, that I'm going to do everything or I'm going to do absolutely nothing at all. And that, in my opinion, it's probably the biggest detriment. And that really is most people, is that all or nothing mindset. I used to kind of think that it was just some people were like that. I believe that at least when it comes to health and fitness, especially for somebody who is not consistent with it, they all are nothing, or they are all or nothing. They are trying to do everything or nothing at all. And that's, again, we got to get away from that. We want to find a healthier, homeostasis in our life and in our body and in our healthy habits and things of that nature. And, I often kind of talk about this with new clients, current clients, old clients, whatever, is we want to raise the baseline of what we're able to do on our worst weeks. If it's your busy season at work, or maybe it's just a hell, week from hell at work, are we going to be perfect during those weeks? Definitely not. And the average person, and maybe even yourself, would totally fall off that week. You're going to be missing your workouts. You're not going to meal prep. You're not going to go grocery shopping. You're going to forget to drink your water. You're not going to get your steps in. You're just losing all control of all healthy habits that you've built up, or routines or intentions. They might not even be habits yet. They might just be intentions, because if they were habits, they were probably going to continue even during those hell weeks like that, or tough stretches of time like that. But again, what that leads to is that terrible, painful cycle of always feeling like you're starting over, always being back down at the bottom of that mountain, and you got to restart. Um, and we shouldn't be constantly having to restart what we're doing. Just pick right back up where you left off with, first and foremost. But second off, let's not totally fall off on the very, very first place. Let's maintain what continuity we can even during those hardest weeks, because that's what's going to allow you to tread water and not take 2 or 3 steps back, not lose all sense of motivation and momentum. But instead, tread water during that time. If your worst week ever, you didn't take any steps back, the next week you're just starting off on, right where you left off of the week before. And you can kick ass again. But it's when we take those 2 or 3 steps back that we feel bad about it, and we allow things to compound, and we step on the scale and we're down 8 pounds, we're up 6 pounds. And majority of that was just inflammation. Majority of that was just water weight. Majority of that was we didn't eat well, we didn't exercise, things of that nature. And it's probably going to balance out if we just get back on track, even for 2 or 3 days. We're going to see that stuff balance out. But when we see that initial shock factor of, oh shit, I'm up 6 pounds, I'm going to throw myself a pity party. I feel bad about this, so screw it. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to control what I can this week, and I'm just going to keep knocking over those negative dominoes to compound this issue into a bigger issue. So then that next week, I might not even step on the scale, because I know that, well, shit, if I was up 6 pounds last week, this week I only did worse. There's no way I'm not, up another 10 pounds, or, up 10 pounds total, whatever. And now you've just lost all momentum, motivation, excitement, and belief in yourself, first and foremost. And it's very, very hard to get back on track. And so that's why during those toughest weeks, during those toughest stretch of times, we are mindful, we're intentional of the basics. Coming back to controlling what we can control. I feel like I beat that dead horse, for lack of a better term, all the time. There's a couple different things we always talk about on here. Renee and I, we kind of laugh about it, because we're like, almost every Zoom call every week we're talking about the same shit. Even we're just titling it something different, but it's because it's true. Controlling the controllables, checking in, communicating. Those are all pillars in what we're doing with all this stuff. But so in terms of kind of what you came here for, those habits. And I also mentioned that we're going to do a little giveaway at the end. So with the people on the call, I will, in the chat at the end of the call, don't let me run before then. Don't let me end the call before I do the giveaway, which I'm very forgetful. So if I'm getting off of here, remind me of that, and we'll do it in the chat. What I'll do is I'll just put your name and number, like I'll give your name in the chat, and then I put a number on there, and then I'll just do like a piece of paper, draw a number, and I'll tell you what your options are in terms of what you can win. And the reason why I'm doing that is because just bonus for being here. Doing these Zoom calls, it's not mandatory. You don't have to do that as part of your program, but if you're here, that means you care about this journey even more. And you're carving out the time. I understand that not everybody can make it on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. But if you're here, that means you cut out time in your week to try to better yourself in some way, shape, or form. So I appreciate that. And to show that respect, I want to do a little giveaway. But so anyway, the easy things, the very, very easily controllable things are, first and foremost, water intake. I won't get into a crazy tangent with this, but guys, we have everybody in this program within TLF, besides a couple people, live in America. And in America, we have access to clean drinking water everywhere. You have it in your home. More than likely, you have at least 2 or 3 or 4 sinks in your house. You might even have a fridge with the little water spigot thing in there as well. And even though some of our water is filled with other not so good chemicals, whatever the case is, just kind of gets leaked into our water, it's still better drinking water than majority of the world even has access to. But hey, if you don't want to drink that, you also have access to a Quick Trip, a gas station, a grocery store on every single corner. You can't drive more than just a couple blocks, at least within, like the metro city limits, without running to somewhere where you can go get access to clean drinking water. So for me, that's one of those things that's so controllable. And it's one of the honestly my most frustrating things when clients act like I just can't drink enough water. First and foremost, that's disrespectful to all the people in the world that don't have access to clean drinking water, that have to walk miles for clean drinking water, that have to risk being sick and having constant diarrhea because they don't have access to clean drinking water, but they have to get hydrated in some way, shape, or form. And it's better to be sick than to be fully dehydrated. So that's a slap in the face to all the people in the world that don't have access to that. And that's why it honestly irritates me more than anything else. Not to mention it's just so easy to do, and it has so many values in our health, in our digestion, in our cognition, and just every single bodily function requires water. Not to mention, if you're working out, you're going to have better workouts with that hydration. I mean, it's going to help lower your blood pressure. It's going to help so many things. There's literally no reason against drinking your water. So drink your damn water. Now, I understand that some people can kind of be forgetful for it. First and foremost, when it comes to water, guys, the more water you drink, the more your body craves water. The more cues your body sends you to drink more water. I drink a ton of water and it feels like I'm always thirsty. And what I mean by that is like my body's always telling me, hey, drink more water. I'm also urinating a little bit more often. That might be the only drawback that somebody could actually say when it comes to water intake is I don't want to go to the bathroom. That's is that really the worst thing in the world that you're hydrated and have that ability to have the access to that clean drinking water that you just don't want to have to go pee? That's again a huge slap in the face to a lot of people. But I also get like some people are teachers. You're gonna have, this was me for a lot of years. I have a class full of 25 kindergartners. I can't just leave them in there and run to the bathroom and pee. So we have to be smart about our water intake. We have to do it, maybe time it at the right places. Maybe your job is driving a lot and you don't want to have to pull over every 30 minutes. So we want to front load our water. We want to make sure we are planning our water for when we know that we're going to have access to a bathroom within the next 30 to 60 minutes or so. Meaning, first thing in the morning, that's the easiest thing to do. I always talk about having like a certain cup that I know how many ounces it holds next to the sink that I like to drink out of. And my first thing is to go have 20 to 40 ounces first thing in the morning. I might not necessarily have 40 ounces right away because obviously I'm going to feel waterlogged for a little bit. So sometimes I down it just for the sake of just downing that 40 ounces. Sometimes I just fill up the 40 ounces and I'll down 20 ounces real quick. I'll go on with my morning before I leave the house or before I eat something, or as I come back into the kitchen, I come back and kind of sip on that water as well until I finish that 40 ounces and then boom, I'm already, ahead of the day with it. But there's so many different ways that you can be intentional with this. Number one, an easy rule to put in place is every time you eat food, whether it's just a bite of something, it's a snack, or it's a full-on meal, you're drinking a certain amount of water. If your goal is to get to 100 ounces, females, that's usually my baseline goal I want you to try to get to. If you're having 4 meals a day and you woke up, well, the 4 meals have 20 ounces with each of those meals. And as soon as you wake up in the morning, before you have anything for the day, there's 20 ounces. You follow that very simple rule and you're at your 100 ounces for the day. Not to mention if you went and worked out, not to mention if you sipped on water other times during the day in between meals, things of that nature, then you're at bonus water intake with that. Males, if you got to have 120 ounces or more with it, then you're ramping that up, maybe doing 25 ounces with each meal plus whenever you wake up. It's very easy to do that. If that doesn't work for you, then set alarms in your phone, set little reminders for it, or maybe not even alarms that are kind of set up at certain times, but perhaps I finished 20 ounces. I go to like my little timer app in my phone, little watch app or whatever, and set a timer for 2 hours. When that timer goes off in 2 more hours, I get up from my desk, I go fill up 20 more ounces, I go drink that, and then I reset that same timer for 2 hours later. Maybe that's what works for you. I would guess majority of people within Thriving Lives, especially if you made it to this podcast and are listening to it, you probably have some sort of way of keeping track of your schedule. You might have a to-do list. You might write that out with your hand. You might have a to-do list app. That's what I have. Whatever, maybe you live by like Google calendars, whatever the case is. You can put that stuff in there. Put those reminders in your phone, put those reminders on that to-do list of getting your water intake and things of that nature. I'm going to stop talking about water intake, but again, there are so many different ways to do this. What you can't do is say, well, there's 100 different options. I'm not going to pick one. Pick one and just stick to it, and make it happen. That's one of the low-hanging fruits, one of the very easily things that you can control. Number two, this is sleep. Now, again, if you're part of TLF, we talk about all this stuff. This is part of your check-in question. So hopefully by now you guys understand the great importance of sleep. One of the things off the bat with, with clients, especially as they first get started, maybe on their questionnaire, I'll see that they indicated they only sleep 4 to 5 hours a night. I'll talk to about that on their consult call, and they're saying, well, I've always slept 4 or 5 hours, and honestly, I don't need anything more than that. I get by just fine. My energy is fine throughout the day. I don't want to give up my TV time at night once the kids go to sleep. Whatever the case is. Guys, just because you can do something and get away with it and still be able to function the next day doesn't mean it's optimal. Just because you can get away with having always slept for 4 to 5 hours doesn't mean that's good. Yeah, it's nice to be able to kind of get through the day the next day if it happens every now and then. But if you're just living like that, you might not necessarily be feeling the effects of it right now, but I can guarantee you're going to have a massive cognitive, decline and issues and disease that will happen from that. Not to mention the other compounding effects that lack of sleep is having on you. Again, just because you can function on it doesn't mean that your body is getting any favors done by that as well. First and foremost, your cortisol is going to be higher. And that's going to have a compounding effect of insulin resistance, which could possibly lead to diabetes. Not to mention, when you have that lower sleep, when you have that higher cortisol because of that lower sleep, your cravings are going to be up. You are going to be relying, and that's going to cause you to eat, a lot more food the next day, because you're underslept within that cortisol is a little bit higher. You are going to have less energy probably to go get your workouts in. You're probably going to rely on a lot more caffeine and things of that nature to get you through the day, which then only stresses those adrenals more. So now you're stressing your adrenals through having higher amounts of caffeine and undersleeping. So now you have this compounding effect going into your adrenals. And when those burn out, then you are really going to be tired all the time and going to be leaning on even more caffeine and things of that nature. So you're just constantly digging yourself this hole with it. Not to mention just body composition in general. When cortisol goes, through the roof, especially when that's affecting your insulin and things of that nature, now you're setting the table for your body cannot lose fat and your body's only going to store fat. So your goal might be to lose 20 pounds, but if you're undersleeping, you're not going to lose very much, if any at all. And most likely, more than anything, you're probably going to continue to gain weight because of that exact thing right there. Another thing as well is your body's not recovering from your workouts or just in general. Your inflammation is going to be way, way higher, which, we'll do a whole call on inflammation sooner than later, but inflammation is the root cause of pretty much all disease. Cancers, root cause is inflammation. Some of that is obviously genetic, but a lot of that is going to be your environment and your lifestyle choices and things of that nature. Now, this is not health advice. I'm not a doctor, so take it all with a grain of salt. This is not medical advice. I got to say that for my disclaimer with it, but just understand that sleep plays such a big role. And if you are just used to 4 or 5 hours, listen, I'm not saying it's going to be easy to improve your sleep, and I'm not saying you need to go to from 4 to 5 to 7 to 8 or 8 to 9 tomorrow. That's not going to happen. It's not realistic to say that, but what we can do is start chipping away at that bedtime routine. Possibly it's adding in some different supplementation that will help you get into a better, calmer state before bed. Even maybe not even supplements. Could just be chamomile tea. But setting the right table for that quality sleep, making sure your room is dark at night. Maybe I'm never gonna say, hey, you can't watch TV before bed, because I'm gonna watch TV before I go to bed. Now, obviously, if I had major health issues and my sleep was actually really bad, I would make that concession and change, maybe my TV watching before bed. But again, though, we want to find those different ways that we can kind of optimize that sleep. And again, there's 100 different ways to do it. We've done specific Zoom calls on that exact thing, and podcast episodes on sleep in particular. And obviously, if you have more questions about it, definitely ask away, and or do your own research. But that's what we're here for, is to kind of go into deeper dive with that. Other easy habits to kind of have with this are going to be consistent movement. So yes, it could be working out. Um, but at very minimum, it's just being mindful of how active you are. In today's age, a lot of people sit for their job. A lot of people are very, very sedentary in their jobs. If your job is not physically active, um, we want to become more physically active, obviously, in whatever ways that we can. Again, this is where it comes back to these things were underestimated and underrated, but like as simple as, and this seems, it might seem silly, but parking further. If you don't have things built out in your day where you're going to be getting a lot of steps in and exercise because you are so sedentary, finding ways to increase those steps. Again, taking the stairs. I don't, this comes back to almost being grateful for, like the water side of things, because a lot of people don't have access to that. A lot of people are born without the ability to walk, or something happens in their life where they are no longer able to do that. And I know that those people would give literally anything to be able to walk or to run or to jump and do the things that most of us here are gifted enough to be able to do. We were born with that ability and we still have that ability. And maybe you've lost the ability to sprint or to jump really high or to do things really intensely, but you can always get that shit back just by working at it. But so like, if I got to go up to the second floor, I'm taking the stairs because I have the ability to take the stairs. Somebody who's, there's no knock against somebody in a wheelchair, but somebody in the wheelchair is going to go have to use that elevator because that's the way that they can get up that extra flight, to that second story. My feet and my legs work just fine. I'm going to go use the steps with that. I'm not going to choose the easy way out or the lazy way out. And again, I'm grateful that my body will allow me to go do that. And so the day that I stop being grateful for that, and the day that I allow myself to not do those things, a body in motion stays in motion. So those, that's one of those things right there. But so other ways to kind of get those steps in, ever since I started work from home and I'm no longer teaching elementary school PE, I went from getting 20,000 steps a day to 4 or 5,000 steps a day, maybe. And that's including a walk or maybe even going to the gym. And I recognized that pretty quickly. And so like the summer, it was nice because I could, go on walks and things of that nature. Then Lola was born, still been going on walks with her and Boss. Then as it got colder and colder and colder, I saw my steps declining again and just that physical activity going down further and further. I got a stationary bike for the house. And then not too long ago, I got this walking pad I got a stand-up desk last summer so I could be standing a little bit more often, but that walking pad has helped so much. I mean, if you work in an office setting and you have the ability to get a walking pad, if you work from home at a desk and you have the ability to get a stand-up desk and a walking pad, yeah, it's going to cost a little bit of money. But again, you're worth it. Your journey's worth it. Your health is worth it. And it'd be better to kind of bite the bullet and get one of those things to improve that physical activity than just saying, I don't want to spend the money on it. And your body continues to break down. Your posture continues to break down and things of that nature. And again, doing that for just a couple of days or for a week might not be a big deal. But again, if you're, let's say you're 30 and your job is sedentary, sitting in front of a computer all day. I mean, think about being in this position for the next decade or the next 3 decades until you're 60 and you go retire. That's 30 years spent in that same hunched over position, sedentary at your desk. Now think about if today and for the next 30 years you had a walking pad and you could start every day with 5,000 steps, or maybe over the course of that day you get 10,000 steps in. Your posture is better and your ability to continue walking and things of that nature, your body composition, all that stuff is much improved just from that one simple thing. So like what I've done with my walking pad, at least on the days that I'm, working from home, because sometimes I'll go to coffee shops or my day will kind of take me out of the house. Any day that I'm working at home though, I start my day with at least, I mean, I would say 5,000 steps, but honestly, the past couple weeks since I've had this, I've easily gotten 10,000 steps in by like 9 a.m. because usually I'll try to start my work day around like 7 a.m. or so. So like 2 hours walking, I'm easily at, 10,000 steps or so. And that continues to ramp up throughout the rest of the day. So now I'm finding myself, I'm getting in more of an average of 15 to 20,000 steps a day in, and that's with only walking that walking pad for just a couple hours. Now my job, a lot, some people will say that I can't really type and walk at the same time. Well, have you tried it? Have you actually kind of practiced at it? Because I kind of thought the same thing, but once before I had the walking pad, I would do it at the gym. Sometimes I would go to the gym, not even to work out, just so I could go work and go walk and get some steps in, while working on my laptop. But so, you can do it now. Your job might not, maybe you don't have the ability to actually do that. Maybe you've practiced it and you're like, it just doesn't work for me. That's fine as well. The walking pad is still nice. You can set this up in front of your TV. So maybe in the evenings, whenever you're done for the day, or whatever the case is, you have that walking pad to do. Or maybe you set, again, little timers, maybe at different increments during the day, maybe after your meals, you just go walk for like 15 minutes real quick and boom, you're good to go. Now, ideally being in the sunlight, that would be fantastic. But again, walking pad is a very easy thing to do. But again, so just getting at least those steps in is always key. But just like with anything else, we have to be intentional with this stuff. You're not just going to magically get steps in. You have to kind of try to make a plan for this stuff. You have to make a plan for your movement and your exercise and things of that nature. Even somebody like myself, I love the gym. I look forward to the gym. I got to plan that shit out. It's not just going to happen because I like it or because I want to go to the gym. That goes back to what we talked about last week. Don't tell me your goal this week is to work out 3 times. Tell me your goal is to work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday after work at 5 p.m. And I'm going to take my gym clothes with me to work so I can go straight to the gym afterwards. That's how I'm actually going to accomplish that goal. So be intentional with when and how and what you need to do to kind of increase that movement. And again, just getting in those steps is always, always key. If you got kids and you can go outside and play with them, if you got a dog, you can go outside and play with them. That's great as well. Just be intentional with using that body, moving that body. What is that? Number 3, I believe. Number 4 is getting in sunlight. Again, like I said earlier on the Zoom call, we're at the time of the year where the sun is out a lot more. It's out till 8 p.m. First and foremost, if you can get in sunlight first thing in the morning, that would be wonderful. Actually, I just shared this on my story the other day. We've been doing this with Lola, but so something to help a baby circadian rhythm, to help them sleep better throughout the entire night is for them to get sunlight first thing in the morning. And ideally a little bit of evening sunlight as well, maybe even as that sun's kind of going down. That will really help to kind of set that circadian rhythm. And that also goes a long way in helping you guys as well, as adults. Again, if we do things for little kids and for infants and things of that nature, chances are it's probably going to be pretty good for us as adults as well. We just don't do it because we have the excuse that, well, I got to work and life is busy and I need to de-stress or whatever. Well, that sunlight, getting that vitamin D, going on that walk, ideally in the morning as well, puts us in a parasympathetic mode, which means we're not in a high stress state. Parasympathetic mode is going to actually lower your cortisol. So getting out in the sunlight is one way to do that. Going on a walk, like I said, in the morning time is probably one of the best things you can do. One of the best hacks you can do for overall stress and inflammation in the body. Not to mention just a good habit to do that really starts your day off on a good note. But so sunlight is number 4 on that list as well. Excuse me. And so number 5 is going to be stress management. Now, this could be done in so many different ways. But what I find is, and again, I can catch myself doing this as well, is just get caught up in just being go, 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 go. Just trying to get so much stuff done and living off that to-do list, which again, I do live off a to-do list, and it's one of the things I credit to getting so much stuff done, which is fantastic. But even part of that to-do list, what I'll put on there is different ways that I can just relax. And now what's been nice is with, having our daughter Lola, it's been great because when I'm with her, and I'm with her a lot throughout the day. But when I'm sitting down on feeding her, when I'm sitting down and playing with her, being very intentional about being in the moment, not worrying about what I need to do next on my to-do list, not worrying about work, not worrying about what's going to happen later on in the day, but just being present in that moment. Something I didn't really realize, having a baby was gonna teach me is just to be truly present. Nothing else in the world matters at that moment. Nothing in the world matters tomorrow at that moment when I'm playing with her. And that is so important because I feel like so many of us, and again, I'm guilty of this as well, is just living in the planning and what I need to do the rest of the day, what I need to do tomorrow, stressing about stuff that we can't control at work. That's one of the biggest anxiety is stressing about shit that's out of our control, whether that's from a time standpoint. I'm stressed about this presentation I have to give next week. I'm going to be stressed about that. Whether I'm fully prepared or not, I'm still going to be stressed about that. And that's out of my control. Or stressing about, whatever, you name it, something else that's out of our control. And so finding these different ways to be really present and intentional in the moment is a good stress reliever. Again, these things all kind of feed off of off of each other. So Going on a walk is going to do all those things. Going on a walk is going to help you get your movement and your steps in. It's going to help put you in a parasympathetic, lower stress state. It's going to help you out with digestion. It's going to help you out with so many different things. But so just going on a simple walk outside, I mean, you guys try to go on a walk and tell me you don't feel better because of it. You might not necessarily want to go on that walk initially, just like you might not want to go to the gym, but going to do that one thing is important. So what I challenge everybody that's listening on the call is every day do two things that are for stress reduction purposes in general. And that could be a workout. That could be, I mean, sometimes if you have been go all day, maybe you got your workout in, you've done all the things for the day as well. Maybe that could be, just reading a book. Maybe that could be playing video games. Maybe that could be, watching your favorite show. Something that's going to kind of help bring down that stress. One of the things that, whenever we talk about like sleep and stuff on here, again, like watching TV before bed might not be exactly the best thing to do, but something that it is nice for me is watching, a comedy, like a stand-up comedy or something that just puts me in a good mood, kind of takes my stress away or whatever the case is, and I can kind of just check out and just enjoy. That's something I look forward to. That's something that puts me in a good mood. That's something that, that again just helps lower that stress. And all these things we just talked about here, they're all going to help lower inflammation. They're all going to help our mindset. They're all going to help us just have a better feeling of well-being, which allows us to keep showing up and doing the shit that's hard, eating healthier and moving our body and doing all that stuff. And so, what's funny about all these things, though, and as you've kind of seen, is that they all merge together. One thing affects the next thing and affects the other thing, and lack thereof of doing one of these things might have a trickle down and a snowball effect into the next thing that knocks us off of all these other things as well. And so, that's why when we talk about your guys' check-ins and why that's so important is, your first week of doing it, you might be like, holy shit, this is a lot of questions I got to answer. I don't have time to do this. Well, first off, you do have time. We all have time. We all have time to do that. Do you want to make time? That's really the thing. Do you want to be accountable? Do you want to ask yourself those questions? But it's not meant to overwhelm you. It's meant to create a better sense of just mindfulness around all these things. So that way, if every single week on Thursday mornings, you're asking yourself, hey, how was my stress this week? How was my sleep this week? What did I do that was positive for myself? How are my workouts? On Monday at 10 a.m., you're aware of these things. You're not critiquing these things, you're just aware of them. And ideally, you've already kind of planned them out. So if last week you kind of dropped the ball on your workouts, and maybe it was controllable, maybe it wasn't controllable, over the weekend after you've checked in for that last week, you can be intentional. How am I going to get more exercise in this week? How am I going to get my workouts in this week? How am I going to do better with my nutrition, whatever the case is? And so we want to hit on all these things right here because we want these to be automatics. We want you to do positive things for yourself that put you in that lower stress state. We want you to have these habits in your day, like a walking pad possibly, that helps you get those steps up so that we're burning more calories throughout the day, so that your posture is better as well. And then you're not in pain and having to go to the chiropractor and not being able to work out because your posture is messed up and everything hurts. We're fixing some of these things. So that's why those check-ins are so crucial with it. But so again, nothing on here is groundbreaking. These are the basics. And guys, the basics works. Same thing with like working out. Like you'll see on TikTok and Instagram, all these crazy workout plans and different ways of doing things. Guys, the shit that they were doing back in the 1950s, it still works. A basic squat or pressing movement or whatever the case is, all that stuff works. We don't have to be crazy creative with it. Just get good at the foundations, get good at the basics, and you're going to make all the changes you really want to. Stop overcomplicating life and health. And health, it can be very complicated, but by not being consistent, by not focusing on some of these pillars of health that we just talked about tonight, you're making things way harder on yourself. Get good at these basic things, and we can always optimize from there. We can get in the weeds and get a little bit deeper in some things, but just focus on those basics. But that's what I've got for you guys tonight. Anybody on the call have any questions? Let me get my piece of paper before I forget. Do our little giveaway here. As I'm looking for this, anybody have any questions?
I have a question for you. This is Lauren.
Give it to me, Lauren.
Hey, what walking pad do you recommend? Did you do like extensive research to pick out the one that you found, or
I wouldn't say
do you have
I didn't do extensive research. I just went on Amazon and I put like maybe 6 or 7 in a cart and kind of balance out price versus, functionality and stuff with it. Mine is I'll try to find it actually. I'll put it here. I'll just put it in the chat here. Mine is a Urivo um pad. So some of these have like better capabilities, like they can raise and do more of an incline, which ideally you can do an incline, but like, do I really want to spend 350 on one? I think mine that I got was 250, and really I picked that one because it had really, really good reviews, had quite a few different reviews. It came with just like a little remote thing that kind of goes on the side of it, and so you can speed it up, like plus and minus. Um, Shows you different modes. So it shows you like how many miles you walked, how much time you've walked, steps and stuff of that nature. A little play button on it. I think it goes like up to like 4 miles an hour or so. I try to get my dog to do it. He doesn't want it. He's scared of it. But
Oh, thank you.
yeah, here I just found the link for it. But like I said, it's 250, but again, it's already gotten its money's worth for it. So that would be good. And then obviously, stand up desk and whatnot. If you have access for that'd be great. Do you work from home like at a computer or something?
I do remote and in office, and
Cool.
thankfully both my desk at home and in the office are standing.
That's awesome. So I mean, I would at least do this for home. I've never worked in an office setting, but I'm one of those that, unless there was for some reason it was forbidden to do that in the office, I would probably do that as well. And honestly, and one of the cool things with that is you might be the weird person, like why the hell do they have a walking pad at the office? But I guarantee if you did it, and especially as you're looking better and feeling better and your energy is great and all that stuff, you're going to inspire others. You're going to make it less weird for other people to do it. And I'm sure before other people in the office will be doing the same thing. Not that you have to do the office, obviously, but especially this is going to be great for people that work from home, because, at least going to the office, you have to walk to your car. You have to walk to the office. You have to walk up the stairs. You have to walk to your desk, whatever. So you're at least getting in more steps doing that. But yeah, I just put it in the chat here. All right. All right. Just need a pin real quick. Any other questions, guys?
I was just curious, where's your trip that you said you were planning on?
Yeah. Oh, shit. Dexter, you're on my to-do list. I was going to text you tomorrow. Can't make the wedding. Um, the
Okay.
only date which um I'm definitely irritated about. The only date we could do it was going to be during June, but we're going to Portugal. We land on Portugal. We always want to do like Spain and Portugal, but apparently Portugal's really like family friendly, like, and to the point, but, and don't quote me on this, but Nicole said she found that they have like laws and stuff over there. So like if you're waiting in line like at a coffee shop or somewhere and you have a baby with you or like a little kid with you, it's against the law for them to keep you at the back of the line. Like they'll move you up to the front of the line to get you through there quicker. They're like the Portuguese airlines and stuff, which we won't be flying, but they have they'll give you the better seats and stuff on the plane just because you're flying with a kid. Apparently there's really, really family friendly over there. So yeah, so we decided on Portugal. So we're gonna do like Porto for a few days, and then take a train down to Lisbon, and then rent a car and go down to the Algarve coast or something like that, and be on the beach for a few days. So, and we're taking Lola, which is funny because before we had Lola, I was like, I don't want to travel with a baby overseas. But yeah, we're super pumped for it though. Okay,
That's
I'm just
nice.
yeah, yeah. So sorry, I can't. I was really bummed to find out that we couldn't make the wedding. Like I said, I was going to text you tomorrow, since I know I literally just RSVP'd, um, and sent the present whatnot to you guys. But either way, yeah. All right. I just put your guys' names and numbers in the little chat, and now I put 1, 2, and 3 on the little papers right here. All right, and then I'll tell you what you're have the options of after this. All right, 2. So Lauren, you won this one. Um, That's a 2. It's just terrible handwriting. All right, Lauren, you have the option. I can either mail you, and I don't have it on me. I don't know if you've seen our Thriving Lives Fitness coffee mugs. I can mail you one of those, or I can mail you a $25 gift card to my wife's boutique, women's clothing boutique called Amelia's out in Overland Park.
Ooh, tempting.
Tempting.
I think I'll take the boutique gift card.
All right, sweet. I will. I'll get I should be able to have access to your address and whatnot then. So I will get that and have it sent over to you hopefully within this next week or so. Cool.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course, of course. Thanks for being on the call consistently too. All of you guys, thanks for being on the call tonight. Any other questions you guys got for me? And I just put that on my to-do list because when I put something on my to-do list, the shit gets done. So if you guys are struggling getting in your workouts in, getting your water intake in, whatever, I guarantee if you put it on your to-do list, you'll get it done. That's how we get better at this stuff, and it stays top of mind if you follow the to-do list like I do. But so I got that on there. Anything else
I was
for me?
gonna say, just curious, your to-do list, keep it electronic or a piece of paper?
It is electronic, and it actually is synced on my laptop and my phone. And it updates pretty automatically. And the cool thing about it is that you can do you could set up like certain projects. So like for me, like I have like Instagram post topics, and then I have like 72 different things in there. I have other like top projects. I have like a home one in there. So anything I need
Is
to
that an
buy.
app?
Yeah, it's an app. It's called I'll just type it in here in the box here. And I've had this for the last, I don't know, 5+ years, and I swear by it. I'm sure there's 100 different apps out there for it. This is the one that I found, and I just committed to every time I have an idea, every time I have a need or something scheduling on here, I live by it. So every day I'm checking it. I mean, like, you know, I have on here cardio. So like I'm gonna come down here, I'm gonna get my steps in every single day. Even though that's automatic, I have it on here because I want to check it off the list. Should I have the dishes on here? And you can also set things as recurring. You can have it set like every Monday of every single week, the first Monday of every month. Like you can set it specifics like that. It's like I have dishes on here. So that way I can do the dishes every day, whether that's mine, our dishes or Lola's like bottles and stuff like that. I have stretch on here as a daily reminder as well. Um, I have, I was going to wash my dog today, which I already did. So I put wash boss on here. Lola needs a bath, so that's on my to-do list. And then I have other things on here like our weekly Zoom calls with the link. I have that right there. We just finished that, so I can check that off the list. Client consult calls, client check-ins. I do that daily and try to respond to all clients every single day. So like anything on here, even if it's shit that I'm going to do either way that's automatic in my life, I still have it on there because I like the I like the feeling of checking it off the list, but also if I live by this, I'm not going to forget it. So as long as the only way it fails if you don't use it. The only way it fails is if you have something scheduled or you need to do something and you don't put it on there, then boom. But yeah, so I put it in there. It's called Todoist. Like I said, you can link it up on your phone and your computer or whatnot. Any other questions, guys? Well, good shit tonight. I appreciate you guys all being here. Lauren, like I said, I'll get your address and I will mail that out to you. Anyway, though, you guys have a great week. Kick ass on check-in day. Keep doing a good thing that you guys are doing. All things health and fitness and whatnot. You guys have a good night. I will talk to you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.